Hello and welcome to In the Court of the Wenton Knave. Thrak, 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 Thrak. It's a great word. The only 90s album and the first album for 10 years. Despite obviously continuous activity, 93 right the way to 99 and 2000. So most of that decade they were active. But this is it. This is the one. The production is excellent. It's quite slick. Very 90s sounding in that it's not very real. It doesn't sound realistic. It just sounds... generally I prefer the sound of a band playing rather than production sound. But but we get that with the live stuff, and there's plenty of that to come, and it's very good. The real world sound, ironically because it doesn't sound real, is there. It sounds like all the Peter Gabriel albums, Us and Onward. Just like everything did in the 90s. Obviously, it's an excellent album. Maybe not as adventurous as the 80s trilogy. I mean, people might be surprised by that and think, but Thrak! But the real Thrakisms didn't come till the tour, really. Is it? It's not top tier like Discipline. I think some people rate it slightly higher than me, but I'd certainly rate it higher than Beaten Through the Perfect Pair. Put it that way. And it is awesome. And also the Thrak box. It's fantastic. Look. Thrak box. Yes. The cover is actually some broken metal. That's a great cover. King Crimson have good covers, often with rock bands who are supposed to have good covers, often the covers, most of them are just terrible. But King Crimson have good covers, and this is a great one. Broken metal. 56 minutes. Not that long for a 90s album. Obviously at this point bands were sort of filling CDs, which was a mistake, I think. Supposedly some of this material was around mid to late 80s. Guitarcraft people commented that they heard Thrak, the Thrak theme at least, around that time, so this thing was around. And of course we're onto soundscapes, aren't we? There's no Frippatronics, no tape loops now, it's all electronic, and that's a different sound. I think this is the start of a trilogy as well. There's 3 albums in this epoch, all the way to 2003, I think, in my opinion. There's a 5th epoch now, of course. So yeah, like I said, 86, 87 I think, Fripp was asked to write music for William Gibson's Neuromancer. And he thinks it sounded Crimson-like, the stuff he was playing. And some crafties think they heard some stuff, possibly actually Thrak. It does seem that the League of Crafty Guitarists is the thing that really led the way into this. More than Sylvie and Fripp, I think, actually. Although that's obviously played a part as well. And comparable to, Discipline isn't like Heroes and Peter Gabriel. It's more like Exposure and League of Gentlemen. That style there is closer than the more commercial stuff. Some definitions. Vroom is a word, obviously. An inevitable and remorseless forward movement which carries everything before it. Vroom vroom, the same thing, but here he comes again. And also a King Crimson instrumental, the middle section being from Red, or an early version of Red that wasn't released. Thrak, that's a good word as well. A sudden and precisely directed impact, moving from intention and commitment in service of an aim. Which means dun, 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 dun. Oh, the sound of 117 guitars almost striking the same chord simultaneously. I love that almost there. I think that's great. So yeah, not a huge amount to say about Thrak because I think I've kind of already said it over the last 3 videos really. So track 1 is Vroom. Very different take to the 93 version. It's actually not as heavy, it's faster. There's some really crazy drumming on there, and that's actually Pat Mastelotto, not Bill. Whether that's unusual for double trio, I'm not entirely sure, but I get the impression from what I've seen that generally it was Bill doing his own thing and Pat Mastelotto was playing it safe. On the Japan 95 video anyway, I think I've already said that. The 2000 versions of Vroom are fantastic. I don't think the V-drums recorded very well, so but certainly seeing it live, it was like whoa. And obviously now we've got the 2015 version, which is ace. Because I think Pat Mastelotto's got this attack that Bill doesn't really have an attack, and that kind of invokes Red in a way. But I suppose Bruford wouldn't do that because he did that on Red, so maybe I don't know. Track 2 is the Coda Marine 475, the Lloyd's Insurance Certificate. Coda Marine 475, which is a Lloyd's insurance syndicate, which EG threw all their money into, gambled it all away, and it all went to pot. And that's the grinding ending of Vroom. It's great. Track 3 is Dinosaur. We haven't heard Dinosaur yet. One of Adrian Belew's finest moments. I think he actually said that this is his favourite of the era. Maybe I agree, you know. So clever that the riff, I assume Fripp came out with, is obviously referencing Circus. But really, I mean, from Belew's point of view, it's King Crimson does the Beatles, you know, I Am the Walrus kind of stuff. And a bit like Ladies of the Road in that respect. I think it's a better song than Ladies of the Road, though. I think it's much better. There's Mellotron guitar synth on there, which is quite funny. It's like now everything is guitars now. Some drums are loud, but mostly just guitars for everything. And it's that King Crimson humour again, you know, wonderfully sarcastic. However, you know, is it just a song about a dinosaur? Adrian Belew says it's just a song about a dinosaur, so you know. Track 4, Walking on Air. Possibly another Beatles link there. I mean, I think it's very, very Lennon, Walking on Air. Classic Crim ballad tradition, you know, might be the best so far. I mean, maybe One Time is better. I don't know. It's one of the. I mean, I really like Walking on Air. It's really good, and it's fantastic live. It is fantastic live. And then track 5 is, of course, VROOOM, which we've talked about a little bit. Essentially, a drum solo, and it is the first drum solo. Is it the first drum solo since Earthbound? I mean, do we count the album version of Discipline? I don't know. And of course, it's a duet with loads of soundscapes and sound effects on there. There was a Max Roach thing called Boom, which is obviously not a coincidence. Which is interesting. I think there, Bruford is calling the shots and Master Lotto is playing along. That's my impression of it. You know, he's doing what the hell he wants. Track 6 is Thrak, and then you realise, oh, that was just an intro. What's this? That heavy riff, like a buzzsaw cutting your face, or 117 guitars cutting your face. The heaviest thing in King Crimson to this point. The idea is something very intense, improv in the middle, and that's thracking. That's what thrack is. 6 musicians doing it all at once. This, however, is lightweight compared to what was to come live. Track 7 is In a Garden, another new one, and there's no drums on that, which is nice. Track 8, People, really, really good Belew song. I think he actually said himself he regretted not keeping that for his solo stuff, because it's a really good song. King Crimson are really good at playing it. It's really good for the double trio. There's some great live versions, but it is a Belew song, isn't it? It's not really very King Crimson at all. Track 9, Radio 1, which is some soundscapes, which is the sort of middle section leading us into One Time. Absolutely fantastic ballad. I think it was actually instrumental before Belew arrived, and then he turned it into a Belew ballad. Maybe that's why it's so good, because it's very Crim, because they've collaborated a bit more on it. One of his best melodies. I mean, really is fantastic. Track 11 is Radio 2, which is more soundscapes, and then In the Garden 2. So we go back to In the Garden, so we've gone right the way around with People and One Time. And then on to track 13, which is Sex, Sleep, Eat, Drink, Dream. Dirty Crimson Blues. Again, sort of a cousin of Ladies of the Road in a way. And the middle section is so wild, it's almost a return of thracking in there as well, so you know. Then track 14 is VROOOM VROOOM. I really like VROOOM VROOOM. So it's a callback to VROOOM, but it's ascending rather than descending, so you know that's really good. And obviously the middle section, which was a piece that was going to be in red but was discarded. And of course, at this point it's pretty lightweight, and it got faster and heavier and got really good. And then we have the VROOOM VROOOM Coda, which is a final thing. But yeah, so yeah, great album. I mean, I've not had a lot to say about it because I've kind of already said it in the last 3 reviews, so you know, there's a lot of videos here, so give me a break. But yeah, Thrak is another good one, so see you next week.